Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is part 9 of our main stack Auth series which we have started few days back. And in this today's video, we are going to see how we can create a register page and login page by using Tailwind CSS. Also going forward, we will be trying to integrate the APIs what we have created in our previous part, like how we can integrate the login and register APIs in our Angular application. Not just that, we will also try to see how we can add validations to our forms as well, like how do we also create the custom validations and whatnot. So to be honest, I don't want to rush like to do everything very fast. So what I'm planning is, so today in this video, we will try to see how we can create the register page, how we can add the validations, and how we can integrate the API of register what we have created in Node.js with our Angular. And once this is done, then we will do the same thing for the login so that it will be very easy for us to understand and also to do that in a project. Also, if you have any question related to this, like how can we do it, or if you're facing any issue during the development, so do let me know in the comment section because I'm there to help you guys. And last but not the least, do subscribe to my channel and also give a thumbs up to all the videos if you love my content. This will highly motivate me to continue this journey of MEAN Stack. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into the video. So first thing, we will start with creating the register page. Okay. All right. So let's create things with the div. So div, in the div, let me add some class. So I have to specify a width to my div, like my login page. So I will start things off with 3. So my screen is large, so I can specify LG for large screen. So for large screen, I want to give width as 3 by 12, which is 25%. Okay. So complete is 100. I'm giving 3 by 4, which is width as 25% for large screen. And I will specify margin top as 20. I will give some padding to my page by saying P10. So it will take padding around as 2.5 rem. Okay, let's save it. Now, just below this, let me create my header. So I will say here H3, I will say it as register. Okay, I can give some styling to this by saying text 3XL, as this is a header component. Oh, sorry, the heading as H3. So I'm giving 3XL, and this text should be in center. So I'll say text center, and this should be bold, so I'll say font bold. Okay, and I want to specify padding of y-axis as 5. Okay, let's save the changes and let's see how it looks. Okay, so this is how my page looks like for now. I think bold is very much high, so let's make this guy as semi bold. Yeah, looks perfect. Now I have to create a card, right? So for that, I have to specify some shadow. So let me give some shadow to this card by saying shadow to Excel. Yes, so this is how what my width look like. Okay, now it has 2XL. Let me remove this. Okay, this is incorrect. I would say width hyphen 3 by 12. Yeah, now it as 3 by 12, and the shadow looks very high, so let's remove this somewhat. Okay, or else I can use shadow LG, shadow large. Yeah, this looks perfect. And now I want to make this guy as center. So to make it center, we can use margin X auto. So MX auto will make it in the center of the page. Okay, and now just below this, I will have to create my form. So for the form, let's create that form. Okay, this is how, yeah, the attribute form. Don't need of this action, so let's remove the action. Okay, so in the form, right, again we will have to use some class. So let's use the class as flex, and I will say flex as call. I will tell you the reason why I made it as column, because whenever I will be writing my input, it should be in column, right, one by one. So that's why it is flex column. Okay, and let's create my first div element where I will have my input and I will have my validation. Okay, again let's create the input of type text. I will give a placeholder to this guy, and this will be my first name as my placeholder. Okay, I will only style one div. Rest you guys can copy paste for rest of the divs. Okay, so let me only focus on the first div. So I have this input, and just below that I will have my error, so which will say with a star, first name is required. And I want to make this as red color, so I will say class text red 500 or 400, it's up to you. Let's take it 500 for a dark red. Okay, and let's see how it looks. So this is what I have. So this is my input, this is my validation, and I know this looks so bad, so we will fix them, no worries. So let's try to fix the input first by saying class. Let's give it as a class, and let's add some good styles. Okay, so I say p.2, I'm giving some padding first. Okay, I'm giving some border as well because it was borderless, and let's give the border gray 300, and I want to make it as rounded. Okay, yep, see, it looks perfect now. But the only problem is, right, I want this validation to be down, not side by side. So what we can do, right, to the upper div, to the parent one, I will say flex, and this will be flex goal, which is flex column, and let's give some margin also, and margin bottom. So I will say margin top I will give as 4, and I will specify margin bottom as 1. Okay, so that it will have some gaps. Yeah, looks perfect, right? So we have this first name, and we also have the validation. Okay, now I have to do the same thing for the rest of my fields. So let me copy paste, and let's do it for them as soon as possible. All right, so this is what I have created. I can guys can see I have created all of the form fields. Okay, let's save and see how it looks here on the UI. Okay, so this is what I have. I have all the register, email, username, password, and confirm password. All right, now let me remove some of this margin top. I think this is giving it to the div. All right, so now it looks perfect. I want to give it as empty 10 so that it should have some margin on the top. Yeah, it looks perfect now. And now what I need to do, I have to create a button below this so that I can submit the form. Okay, submit the form. So just below this, I will create the submit button. So this will be my button, and this is submit. Okay, so again, we can style them by adding the class. Let's add a class to that button by saying bg indigo 500, and we can give some padding to it, padding as 2, and the button will be rounded, so rounded. Save it, and let's see how it looks. Correct, so this is the big button. Let's give it a margin on the top, margin top as 3. Yeah, it has a good margin now. And also we can give the text color as text white, which is black inside. Yeah, this looks perfect now. And just below that form, we can create a footer, login footer, by saying if you already have an account, you can click here to log in. Okay, so just below the form, I will create a div, and this div will have a span tag, which will say already have account. Okay, like this. If already have an account, you can create a tag. Okay, and in that you can specify that you can log in here. So let's create the anchor tag without href, and this will again have text indigo as your main color. I think I want to make it more darker so that it looks better. I want to specify margin left as 2 and cursor pointer. Okay, and this will say login here. Let's save all the changes, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So let's add this as a question mark. Okay, and let's save the changes and see. Yeah, login here. Just I need to give some margin and padding to it. So I will give it to this guy by saying class, and this will be flex, justify center, and margin top as 5. Save the changes, and let's see how it looks. Okay, it looks perfect now. And as we are adding the padding, let's remove this to 2. Yes, correct. And now, yeah, so this is what our register page look like: first name, last name, email, user, and everything looks perfect here. Now what we will do, right, once I click on login, I want to route it to the login page, and all of those I have to do. But this is how the login page or register page look like. Okay, so the same thing we will be doing it in the login page. Okay, let's see how things looks here first. Okay, because for the screen size, right, we can do something here, because if you see, if I want to minimize, maximize, so things will not take some changes. So if I make it more small, can you see? Yep, it should take it by default. Okay, something like this it should take 100% screen size. Okay, so that thing works, so it's good. Okay, now I have to create the form for it. Okay, so as I told, now we will create the form for the register. Create the form for, so first let's go ahead and create a property which is register form. Okay, and we can give it as a type form group. Okay, and the second thing we need is inject the form builder. So we are not going to do things in constructor now. So as we are using latest version of Angular, so we will try to make use of the new features what they have provided. So we will be using an inject function. So this is how it goes. So we have to create a form builder. So I'll say fp is equals to inject, and in this inject we can inject our form builder. Okay, so one thing to note, I'm not doing any kind of dependency injection in constructor. So now there is a new way of doing it. So that's what I'm trying to follow. Okay, and I need my ng on in it. So for that, I have to implement, and let's try to make it quick fix and implement the ng on in it. I always prefer it to be below, so let's add it below. Okay, now let's remove the unnecessary space, and I need a grouping between inject function and normal properties. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's initialize our form. So that's the step number 2, I would say. Step 1 is these two, and now step 2 is going to be initializing the form. So we can initialize it like this: dot register form is equals to this dot fb, which is my form builder, and this form builder will help me to group my form. So let's group them. And now here I have to create all the controls. Okay, for example, right, we have first name, last name, email, username, password, and confirm password. So we are going to create these form controls. Okay, so let me do that for you. So the first one is first name, and we will specify something like this. So initial value should be empty, and we have to add a validator. So can you see, this is the validator coming from angular slash form and validator dot required. So we have to put a required validator. Okay, same thing I have to do it for all the forms. So let me just do that. All right, so now I have my all the five form controls: first name, last name, username, password. I think I'm missing one, which is the email. So let me just add that as well, email, and we will be using the same thing, like initial will be this. And one thing to note here, that for email, right, I want to do two type of validations. So first validation is required, and another validation is you're checking for the email, valid email. So whenever we are using multiple validations on the same form control, we make use of something called as validator.compose. Compose means mixing two validations. So this compose takes an array, and in this array we can pass our two validators, which is validator.required and validators.email. Okay, so this guy will help me to validate two things: that my email should be there and the email should be a valid email ID. Okay, now that's about the step number 2. So once these two steps are ready, now let's go in your register component.html. Okay, so in the step number 3, we have to make use of form group. Okay, but if we'll make use of form group, it is not working because first we have to import. So as this is a standalone component, so we have to come here in this import, and we have to make use of reactive form. So it is not like how we used to do previously. We used to go and import in the app module. So this is not the case now anymore, because this is a standalone component. Okay, so in this component, if I want to do some reactive form, then I have to import the reactive form module in this component itself. Okay, now once you have imported that, now you will be able to make use of form group. Okay, and the form group is your register form, what you have created. So this register form should be equal to this what you have created. Okay, now once you have added this, now you also need to specify all the form control name. So that's what we are going to do here: form control name, and this should be first name. Okay, make sure this name and this name should match. If it don't match, then this form is not binded. Okay, then this will not then this will give empty values to you whenever you click on submit. Okay, I have seen a lot of students complaining it to me like your form is not working, the form is empty. So this is the problem most of the time. Let me add for all of the fields. All right, so I have added all the form controls for all the input field. Now let's create a method for us to submit the form. Okay, so we will create a method called as submit, or I will say register. Okay, and once you create this method, so let's try to just do a console.log, like if your form is binding all the values or not. So we will do console.log, and in that we can do this dot register form dot value. Okay, so this is what we are going to do now. So let's go in your UI, and first before that we have to call this method submit. So we will say click event, and this click should call the register function what we have created. Now let's go and your browser and let's see how things look. So let me go on the register page. So here I am on the register page, and now let me do a inspect element. This is already zoomed, which is good. If I click on submit, can you see I'm getting all the fields are empty. Okay, all the fields are empty, but this is not the correct thing, right? So what I want to do, right? If my form is invalid, then I should not be able to click this submit button. Okay, so for that, what I will do, I will disable this button. So how do we disable the button? So the logic is disabled. If you make disabled as true, so this should not do anything. Now if I try to show you guys, this should not do anything. See, I'm trying to click, but I'm not able to click, or like I'm not able to log the value because this is disabled. But this doesn't look like one, right? Because of the styling, because we are using Tailwind CSS. So the Tailwind CSS inherits all the CSS for you, and that's why the disabled kind of UI is not appear. So we have to create your own disabled. Okay, so you have to create your own class. So let's go in your style.scss, okay, where you have added this. So now here I will create my own disabled CSS. And what we need to do, we have to say opacity as 0.6, okay, and I will say cursor as not allowed. Okay, let's save the changes and let's see how it looks. Okay, so now you said there is still no change because the class we have created, but now we have to apply the class. Okay, so to apply the class, we have to call it as register form dot invalid. So also here what we will do, if the register form dot invalid, if the form is invalid, then this will be disabled. Also, to apply the class, what we will do here is we'll say class dot disabled. Okay, class dot disabled. Here we can say register form dot invalid. If my form is invalid, then please apply this class, and this disabled should match with your this what you have created. Okay, save all the changes and let's see how it looks. Can you see my form is invalid and my button is disabled? Can you see it's not allowed icon we are getting this cross? So we are not able to click this submit because the form is invalid. Okay, all right, now let's see what is the next thing I have to do. Now as you can see that we are able to get all this validations error, but we have to show only on some specific time. Suppose if I put some values, the form is valid, right? The required field should be okay, correct? But the error is not going. But see, this is enabled now because the form is valid. And if the form is valid, if I click on submit, then I can see the values in the console.log, right? Which is correct. But why the error is not going? So to remove these errors, if there is the validation is success, then what we'll do is we have to use an if condition. So for that, let's go in your register.html and we have to use some if condition for all these error spans. Okay, so let's add a ngIf star ngIf, and here we will say register form dot has error. If this form has error, whose name error is required, and on which field, on first name control, on which control, it's first name control. Okay, and also I will put a and condition, and I will say register form dot controls. Okay, which control am I targeting? I'm targeting first name control dot dirty. Okay, if this is the case, then only show those errors. Okay, so I can copy this and I can do it same for the last name. We'll just change it to last name, and okay, this should be this. Yep, and this also should be changed to last name. Okay, so let me do it for the rest of the field. All right, so I have completed with all of those. So can you see now it has for email, it has for password, and it also has for confirm password. And now if I go on the browser, can you see the form looks very simple now. It's all empty without any error, and this is disabled because we have to fill in the form details, correct? If I type here A, B, C, and if I remove, oh, it gives me that if the form becomes dirty, if I make the form dirty and if I go back, I can see this error. Why is it showing for this one? That is incorrect. Oh, yes, because I have to use it here as email. Okay, so I did a small mistake. So let me just rectify that. So this should be email, and this should also be email, and this should be my username. Again, this should be my username. Okay, so that error is fixed. Now let's try to do it again. Make the form dirty, go back, make the dirty, go back, make it dirty, go back, dirty, and yep, that's how it is. So now you are able to see the errors. Now if I fill in all the details like nest.js, nest at the rate gmail.com, username I can give nest03, password I can put 1234, 1234, and my form is ready. My form is enabled and I can submit these details. Okay, and I can click on submit, I can see them all now. But that's not the case, right? We still have to add two more validations. Check the email validations and the confirm password. So for the email, right, let's try to target this one first. So this is not a valid email, right? Okay, this is not a valid email, but I'm not able to see any error. But if you see, the form get disabled because this is not a valid email. That's why. Okay, the form get disabled. But I want to throw an error to the user so that he should know like what is going wrong. So to do that, right, let's create your one more span tag for email. So let me copy this line and paste it below, and I will say that email is invalid. Okay, but I will not check this guy anymore. I will remove this. Okay, and now I will check if it has error of email for form control email, then it should show email is required. Okay, now let's go here, and if I type here A and I make it back, it says email is required. But if I say ABC, can you see it gives me that email is invalid? I have to make it a valid email by saying gmail.com. So this is a valid email. If I go back, this is invalid. If I all remove all, then it says email is required. Okay, so in this way we are able to also see how we can achieve two types of validation on a single form control or on a single field. Okay, so now let's target the second one, which is the confirm password and password. So if I type here 1 2 and if I type here 1 2 3, so it should throw me an error that password did not matched. Okay, so for that there is nothing which Angular provides. Okay, so there is nothing which Angular provides, which means that if I try to say here validators dot confirm password, so there is nothing like that. So how we are able to do it? So how we will achieve it? So to achieve that, we have to create our own custom validation. Okay, our own custom validator, to be very precise. So to create that, that's why I created a new folder here, which is validators. Okay, so let's go ahead and create your first custom validator. So this is my custom, or I'll say confirm password validator. So let's give it a name, confirm password dot validator dot ts. Okay, and let's create your own custom. So I'll say export const confirm password validator. Okay, so this is my function. So this function will accept two parameter, which is control name and the control name which we have to match. So let's give that name by control name of type string, and control name to match is of type string. And now inside this, let's write the logic. So what we will do, we'll just say return the form group of type form group. Okay, and let's return what? So first of all, let's capture the control. So the control number one is by saying form group dot control and pass the control name which we are getting it from the parameter. Okay, and for the controller to match, let's also add that control to match. Okay, control to match. So the same thing we'll do, we again get it from form group dot control and pass the control name to match. Spelling looks incorrect, so let's fix it. Okay, so now we have our two controls which we have to do the comparison. Okay, so first thing what we'll check, right, if, so let's add a if condition, if controls to match, okay, the controls to match, it has any error. Okay, and this guy don't have this validation check. So if this guy control to match, okay, dot error, and in this error that if you don't have this, okay, if this guy don't have this custom validation, to add a don't, just add this a not condition on the top, then return, then do nothing. Okay, but if there is an error present, okay, but if there is an error present, then do a check of what you'll say control dot value, okay, is not equal to control to match dot value. If those guys are not matching, then what you will do, you will set a new error. Okay, so you will say control to match dot set error. Okay, and in the set error you will add your own custom validator, which is custom password validator, sorry, confirm password validator. So let's add that confirm password, or else you can copy this directly and paste it here, and we will just make this guy true. So this is my custom validator which will check. Okay, if this is the case, else do nothing means just set the error as null. So null means there is no error happened for this control match. So set error, and in the set error just pass the null. That's it. So in this way we have created our custom validator. Okay, so now we have to use this custom validator in your component. So how do we do that? So let's go in your register component. So open the pages, click on register and this component. Okay, so once you see, right, once you have done with this guy over here, please have a look, this group, right, just after this bracket create a comma, and then you have to create a new object, and in this new object you will say validator and call the confirm password validator. Okay, so to get that you have to import. So let's import that. Import from, and let's pass the path should be dot slash. It should be in the validators. So let's see where is our custom validator present. So it should be under the app. It's under the app slash components. Where is it? Okay, let me just check in which directory it is. Okay, so it is under the app. Okay, so let's remove this slash validators. Okay, validators slash confirm password validators. Okay, and let's add that name, which is confirm password validator. Okay, and use this here, confirm password validator. As you know that this guy accepts two parameter. One is control name and the another one is control name to match. So the first control name I'm passing is password, and this should match with your confirm password. Okay, so once this is done, now your next job is to use it in your HTML. So in the HTML, let's go in your register. Okay, now here you will create one more span tag. Okay, let's copy the span tag and let's below this add this. We'll say password didn't match. Okay, we will have to pass the validation error. So password didn't match. Okay, and you need to change the messages. So to change the message, you have to say has error, and the error should be confirm password validator. So this error we are checking this error on which controller? On confirm password controller. Okay, and you don't need to write this dirty anymore. That's it. That's it. And once you add this span tag, it should work. Now it should work that your password didn't match. Okay, let's save all the changes and let's go here and let's type 1, 2, 3. And once you start to type in confirm password 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I think this is not working. Let's see what is the issue. If you are getting anything in the console, no, everything looks okay. Let's save all the changes. Yeah, it's done already. Okay, let's check if the spelling is in correct or not. So this is confirm password validator. So that was the issue. So we are missing this spelling. So spelling was incorrect. It should be confirm. Let's change everywhere to confirm. Also in the validators, let's change it to M, confirm password. Yes. Now let's save all the changes and use this validator on the UI. I think this is already correct. Yeah, it's correct. And save the changes and let's see. Now if I pass one, password is required. It's still not working. Let's see what is the problem. Okay. Okay, this is correct. This is also correct. Okay, so let's check some other things. All right, I saw the issue. The issue was in this validator. So here also we need to change the name it to confirm password. Okay, now let's see if it works. So if I put here 1, 1, again, it's not showing me the correct answer. Let's see why. It should show it actually. Let's see. Okay, this looks okay to me. This has to be added as confirm. Okay, and now, yeah, it is working fine. So we had to change here as well. This name was not matching. This validator was not matching with your error. So maybe that was the issue. Okay, so let me revise again what we need to do. So we have created this new custom validator, and the error what we were facing is the name was not matching. So this name should match with this one. So once it matches with these two, and in the register component you have to call the same function what we have created here, and in the UI you have to just say has error with this confirm password validator what we have created. So this is the error message. Okay, so this is name. So this name we are trying to set it true in this validator. So this is what it was expecting. If this is true, then it shows the error as password didn't match. See, if I make it 1, 1, 2, then it is okay, and these two errors are gone. Our form validation is also ready. So we are done with the register form. So now all I need to do is that whenever I click on submit, I want to do the API call. And once the API call is success, I want to see something is getting stored in our MongoDB database. Okay, so just before that, let's try to actually do some console.log, like if everything is working or not, just a small demo. So I will add a new name. I will create a username as Albert03, give it a password 1, 2, 3, 4, and confirm password also as 1, 2, 3, 4. If I make it 5, see it didn't match. If I make it 4, it's okay, and I click on submit, I can see everything in the console. Okay, all right. And also before that, I think we are also ready about this confirm and confirm, password and confirm password. So now we can hide them by making them type as password. So to do that, let's go in your Visual Studio and open up your register component.html and in that go in your input confirm password, and you just need to change the type from text to password, and same thing you have to do for this guy as well, make it password. Save them, and let's see if you type anything. Yeah, it's hidden. Okay, now that's about it. And so now let's go ahead and create your API so that we can do the registration. To create the API, so we have already created that in Node.js. If you haven't seen that video, I think I have did it in here, login and register feature in MEAN Stack project. So you can go and watch this video, then only you can start with this what I'm going to do now. So I will have to create a service. Okay, so let's create that service. So I'll just show you this folder structure here. So in this services, I will create my first service whose name is, okay, so there is something I can do very fast. Right click, open in integrated terminal. Come on, open it. And here you can write the command ng, g for generates, s for service. Service name will be auth because we are doing the authentication, and this will create the spec file for us and auth service file for us. I don't need spec files, so I will delete them for now. Okay, so once that is done, let's open up your auth.service.ts. So in this, I have to inject few things. So again, I don't need constructor anymore, as I have told you. We will be using directly inject function, and in that we will pass what I want to inject. I want to inject HTTP client. Okay, HTTP client, and to inject it first we have to import. So import this from angular slash common slash HTTP. So we will get this HTTP client. Okay, that's done. Once I did this, I have to do the first API call, which is register service. I'm just giving this kind of a name, and this register service should take an input as register object, giving it as type any for now, but we will add an interface later. Okay, all I have to do, I have to say return this dot http dot post, post of type, return type will be any, and we have to pass our URL. Okay, so the best thing is to, whenever I want to create an API URL, what I will do, right, I will create my API URL configs. Okay, let me show you what I'm trying to explain. Now what we will do, right, in this app directory, let me close everything in the client app, in the src, and this I am going to create my constant. The name will be api.urls okay, and I will say export const API URLs, and in this I will first pass my API URL as auth service API, and in this I can take it from Postman. So from the Postman I can make use of API slash auth slash login. So I can copy this, okay, and I can use it here in the auth service. I should not use the login, so let me remove this. This is my common, so this is the common for both, right, register and login. So that's how I created a new constant called as API URL, and this is what I'm going to use. As this is exported, so I can import it in the auth service. So I will make use of string concatenation like this, and I will say API URL. See, it is imported on the top as well. This is a constant. So API URL dot auth service slash login. So slash is already attached. If you go in this, so slash is already attached. So that's why I'm not using the slash. I'm directly using login, and I have to pass the parameter which I want to post, the register object. So my endpoint is ready. Okay, this endpoint I have to use it in the register page. So let's go in the register component, and here I have to use it. Okay, now what I will do, right, I will say let's inject the auth service. So I will go here and say auth service inject auth service. So no need of constructor, as I told you, directly inject it with this inject function provided by Angular. And here I will say this dot auth service dot register service, and I have to pass a register object. So basically I have to pass this information, okay, or else I can create this information very easily. So I can directly say this dot auth service, sorry, not auth service, this dot register form dot value. Okay, and this value is nothing but your object, the register object with the first name, last name, email, and all those. Okay, and all I have to say is dot subscribe. So in the subscription, I get these two object next if the response is correct. So I will say that alert user created. If there is any error, any sort of error, then catch it in this block and just console them so that we can check what went wrong. Okay, and we are done. So all I need to do is I'll have to make sure that my backend API is running. So for that, what I will do, right? I will just open up my endpoint of, so let's go in the API folder. See, I'm in the API folder and now I'll have to say npm start and I can see my backend is also running. Once my backend is running, now I can do my registration. Okay, so let's go in your UI and open up your register. Okay, this was slash register. Let's see what is error. There is a Mary error. Yes, I can see. Okay, so I'm getting this error, right? I'm getting this error that I'm using an HTTP client. Then remember we used to do something called as importing HTTP client module. Yes or no? So how can we do that once we are using a standalone? So to import the HTTP client module, now there is a new way to do it, new way to achieve it. So go in your app.config.ts. As you can see, this is ready here. All I need to do is I have to just say here, comma, provide HTTP client. That's it. Once you add this method, which is coming from common slash HTTP, your HTTP, now you are able to do HTTP call. So let me refresh this and there should be no error anymore. Now I can go and register. It still throws an error. Let's see why. So let's go here and check. Oh, okay, because I haven't saved my file. So let me save my appconfig.ts change. So once I save this, let's see in the client if there is any error. No, it's compiled successful. Now let me go on the register page. See, now I'm able to come to my register page. Okay, now let's try to do a registration. I will do a registration of Akshay Kumar, Akshay at the rate gmail.com. Username will be Akshay03. Password I will give 12345. Confirm password 123 4 and 5. Once this is matches, I will click on submit. Okay, so once I click on submit, I saw there is some issue. What is this issue? This issue is one of the very famous issue which is called as CORS. Okay, so now we are facing a CORS issue in your Node.js application. Okay, so whenever you guys are facing CORS issue in Node.js application, how you will be able to fix it? So let's go ahead and check that. So let's open up your backend and let's go in your API. And to fix your CORS issue, all you need to do is you have to install a package. You have to install a package in your backend because CORS has to be fixed in the backend. So let's go in your API folder again. Let's stop this, which is running for now. Let's me zoom it for you guys. Okay, and you have to install a package called as npm I, and the package name is CORS. Okay, so once you install this CORS, you will see that it is there in your package.json as 2.8.5 and you have to configure it in your index.json. Okay, so let's go in the index.js. I'm so sorry. So once you come here, let me zoom out and you have to add this in your middleware. Okay, so just below the cookie parser, I'm trying to add my CORS. So I'll say app.use. Okay, and I will say CORS. Okay, I added the CORS and also this has to be imported first. So let's import the CORS. So import CORS from CORS. Okay, and now in this CORS you can configure the way you want. So you can pass in an object and in that object you can say origin. Okay, in the you can pass your origin. So what is your origin of your front end? It is localhost 4200. So copy this origin and paste it here. Okay, so as you are also using cookie parser and all of those, passing the token, so I will add a credential as true. So let's add a credential as true. Okay, save the changes. Now let's try to do the register again. Okay, so CORS is configured now in the backend. Let's run the backend again by saying npm start and remove this console, and now I will try to click on submit again. Okay, so once I click on submit, I'm getting a different error this time, which is this is 500 internal server error. Go ahead and try to debug this code. So I think this is the best time when I should debug the code, and I should also show you how we can do the debugging. So what I will do, right, I will go here in my register component.ts in the src and I'll just add two lines here. So first of all, before going there, let me remove this line. Yep, yeah, so this is what we have for now, right? The register and all this. Let me refresh it once. Let me see if there is no error in the console. Yes. Now what I can do, right, let's go here and add your details again. Akshay Kumar. All right, so I have added the details again, and now I will try to put my debug point on line number 35 on alert and also on the error. Okay, so what I will do, right, let's click on submit. So once I click on submit, my debug point comes here and I can see what is the value I'm passing. So this is what my confirm password, email, first name, last name, and all this look like. Okay, all right. So this is my username as well. Okay, so if I click on this and I'm getting it in the error block, and this is what I'm getting error as 500. So that means there is some issue in the backend. So let's go in the backend code of your API and open up your auth controller.js. And here there is some issue. What I think we have to. Okay, okay. I saw then there is an issue here with the username. The username what we are passing that was n was capital, and here we have a small n. So first thing I have to make change here that it should be a username. Let's save the changes now and let's return the backend. Yeah, backend is running, and all I need to do is let's check the network tab as well. So in the network tab I can see. Okay, I see the problem here as well in the front end that we are trying to hit the login and we are trying to do register. Okay, which means there is something wrong in our auth service as well. So let's go in your auth service and we have to change it to register because we are doing registration, right? So we cannot do login directly. So that was a mistake. So two mistakes what we have saw. First thing, you have to go and change here to register, and you have to go in your API controller with in the auth controller, and there you have to change this n to caps. So this previously it was username n as small. You have to change it to caps n. Okay. All right. So once that is done, let me fill up this detail again. All right. So I have filled the details again. Let me open up my console and everything, and let me click on submit. And now once I click on submit, this is my register value. If I click on next, okay, I can still see there is an error, but this time the status is 200, which is quite weird. Let's see how do we tackle this one now. I can see there I'm getting a very weird error response which says that 200, and I'm getting the error in the text as user registered successfully. All right, so I got what is the problem here is that now there is one more issue in your backend, but let me show you if it is storing the records in my MongoDB or not. So if I refresh it, I can see one entry is added, which is 3, and I can see a new entry is Akshay Kumar 03 password and all these details. So let me show you what is the problem actually. So from the backend, right, we are sending a text. Okay, we are sending a text, so that's not correct. We have to send a JSON. Okay, so we should send a JSON so that it should catch it in the Angular. So I would say the best thing would be for me is to directly send as my response how I was sending it as a create success. So I can use this create success, or else I can directly change this guy to JSON. Okay, once I save this, and now let me add up a new entry. So let me see if the backend is running. Yeah, it is running good. And now let's go and try to register one more record. Okay, if I add one more record as a test user test last name user test at the rate gmail.com. All right, so I have filled in all the details. Let me remove the debug point, or else let me close this. And now if I click on submit, I can see my message as user created. Press OK, and why is it not reset? Because we haven't added the logic to reset, so we'll see that later. But let's see in your MongoDB if the new record is added or not. Yes, can you see? I can see my one more record added, which is test user, which means now I am able to do registration from my Angular. All I need to do is I just have to reset the form if my user has been created or user has been registered. So to do that, let's go in your register component.ts, and here we will write the logic this dot register form dot reset. And also if the form is reset, I have to route it to the login page, like my use the creation is done. Now redirect me to the login page to do the login. So what I will do, I will inject the router again. I'm not doing it in the constructor anymore, so I can directly do inject the router, save the changes, and now here I will say this dot router dot navigate my route to login, save the changes, and let's do one more quick round of demo. Now I will add one more user, which is test02 user test02 at the rate gmail.com test031. The username should be unique, guys, so that's why I have to use different usernames. Password I can put anything, but I should match it with the above password, and that's it. Now if I click on submit, I can see user created and the form is reset, and now I am on my login page. Can you see I'm on the login page works? Okay, now in this way we have seen that how we can create this register page. Okay, the register page has been created, and also we have seen how to create the validation, and also I have shown you like how we can integrate the API which we have created in the Node.js. And also we have seen how to do some troubleshooting if there is any error comes up. From this video where we have learned a lot of things here, right? So if you have loved this content, then do give me a thumbs up. Let's aim for 50 likes for this video. And also consider subscribing to my channel, because in the next part we are going to see how we can create the login page and do the same set of step to integrate the APIs and whatnot. All right, so till that time, bye bye and keep learning, guys.